Hello, and welcome to the podcast, Down There. I'm your host, Laura McKeag. My mission is to educate, inspire, and empower others to discover that pelvic health and wellness is important, that it doesn't have to be embarrassing or intimidating, and that it can actually be fun to learn about. So let's have some fun learning today. On to the show. This episode of Down There is brought to you by Laura McKeag Physical Therapy, where we help men and women find real solutions to leakage, pain, or other problems down there. Let us help you regain your dignity, stay fit and active, and enjoy your family time, social life, and intimate relationships again. Find us at www.lauramckeagpt.com. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the fourth episode of Down There. Today I have a very special guest with me. This is
Hello.
Nate Tate.
Hello.
And Nate is an independent insurance agent.
That's right.
And you might be wondering why I'm talking about insurance on this podcast. Well, a couple reasons. Many of you know I do take Blue Cross Blue Shield, and I also take Medicare insurance. And the season for enrolling in Medicare is coming up very soon. And Nate is an expert in helping people find the best Medicare plan for their needs and answering all kinds of questions that I don't know the answer to about using Medicare. So that is what we're going to talk about today. Nate, tell us, when does enrollment start and how long does that last?
Enrollment starts on October 15th and goes through December 7th.
It's coming up pretty fast.
Yes.
Through December 7th.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
For Labor Day.
You're going to be busy.
Yes.
Pretty soon.
I'm busy now. I've already had probably a dozen people reach out to me about their Medicare drug plans, and we're looking at the options that are out there for them and getting that figured out in advance so that when day one comes, we can get them put in right away.
Sounds good. All right. Well, tell me how you got into this business. I find that story pretty interesting.
Yeah, it was completely by accident. I graduated in 2009 with a bachelor's in communication. I was going to go do journalism, but I think most people would agree that the news organizations out there aren't entirely focused on the truth anymore. So I decided to do manufacturing stuff. But 2009, the recession was in full swing. So basically all my jobs at these different manufacturing companies wound up killing myself to help them get through their busy season, and then getting laid off with all the other new people. And there's an insurance company that was hiring at the time, or an agency rather. It's actually not too far from where your office is.
Oh, okay.
And so I joined up with them, got my licenses, and then actually started working. And they were pretty unethical. Like the product that they sold was great, but the sales tactics that they used were very manipulative. I didn't like that, and I asked them if I could do the job without using those tactics. So I was pretty confident that I could. And they said, well, we'd rather you do this. And I said, well, I think I'd rather not work for you.
Goodbye.
So I left them, and I kept doing temp work and trying to find a regular job. And then at this point, it was 2012, and I thought my licenses were a waste. And in August, I got a call from a recruiting center, and Anthem Blue Cross was opening a call center in Olathe. And they needed licensed agents to work those phones. And compared to the temp work I had been doing, this was going to be a lot better opportunity. Regular hours, higher pay, indoors for the winter, and it was a 6-month job. And so I went in, did the training, took to it pretty well, which I didn't really think too much of that because I'm typically a fast learner. But then we got on the phones, and I talked with a lady who called in, and she, her methodology with insurance was you always get a plan that has unlimited copay visits and a low deductible. And so she knew what she wanted, which is kind of like a dream for an insurance agent. When people ask, they call and say, hey, sign me up for this. but I didn't just say, okay, whatever you want. I asked her a couple questions, like, how often have you been to the doctor in the last 5 years? She'd only ever gone for her preventative care and no
So
other
that's
sicknesses.
maybe once a year?
Yeah, once a year. And
Okay.
I said, well, this plan that you're asking for is going to cost you almost $150, $200 more a month for unlimited copay visits that you never use. And I can switch you to a different plan that has 4 copay visits a year. So if you do get the flu or something, you can go see the doctor and still have your copay, but you're saving $250. And that made sense to her. And she signed up, and she was just so enthusiastic because I had saved her all that money just by asking a couple extra questions. And so got her signed up for that. She hung up, but she was really happy. And after I hung up the phone, I sat there and thought, huh, I feel really good. I'm going to keep doing this. And so before the temp job was done, I got on with Blue Cross of Kansas City, and then I eventually became an independent agent because I wanted to be able to sell my people whatever was the best fit for them, not just what was the best fit from one particular company. So that's my very long, drawn-out story.
Well, that is awesome. It sounds like you can help people solve problems, and perhaps working with you makes the process a lot easier. Yeah, versus trying to figure it out on their own.
Definitely.
So yeah, no, that is great. That's an example of how you help someone really solve a problem they didn't even know they had, and find a better solution that they didn't know existed. So no, that is awesome. Let me ask people in the audience here, who finds insurance confusing? I would love to see all the hands that get raised. I mean, even as a provider, I didn't get into physical therapy school and become a physical therapist to become an insurance expert. And even in my own practice, I still field a lot of questions about insurance, especially about Medicare and how that works, and also how that applies toward their benefits for physical therapy. So I think it's great to know somebody like Nate who I can ask those questions of, or if someone has questions about their policies, etc., that I can refer them on and he can visit with them and answer those questions. So Nate, what are 3 of the most common questions you get about Medicare insurance during this enrollment season?
Well, just a full disclaimer, I knew I was going to be asked these questions. And the one I'm going to start with is actually not the question I get asked the most, but that people don't know to ask. And I talk to a lot of folks who are 64, 65, and they know that their 65th birthday is coming up. Medicare is looming, and they're like, oh, do I have to switch from am I required to switch from my employer's coverage to Medicare? Because I plan to keep working for another few years, and they think they have to. And but what's actually true is that they can stay on their employer plan as long as it's as good a coverage as Medicare for as long as they're working. And so if it's 68, 69, 70 that you decide, okay, I'm done working and you want to retire, you can do that and then switch over to Medicare at that time. A lot of people don't know that they can keep working and stay on their employer's insurance. So they don't ask.
Know that.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
So if you want to work up until you're 70, something I'm planning on doing, you don't automatically, it's not obligatory that you have to join Medicare at age 65 if you already have another insurance.
Right.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
What about people who are retiring, say at age 65? Are they pretty much obligated to start Medicare
well,
at that age if they decide to retire? I know that was kind of an impromptu question. I didn't ask you that.
Yeah, no, that's not a problem. They're not required to, but it's probably going to be in their best interest. I would say that Medicare is probably the best insurance available to an individual right now. Obviously, you have to qualify, either be age 65 or be officially disabled for 2 years to be able to get it. But I have talked to a lot of people who are going to continue to work, And so they have the option of their employer's insurance,
Okay.
but they still switch because Medicare is a better insurance
Okay.
deal for them. It costs them less money and they get better coverage.
Okay, good
So
to
it's
know.
not uncommon.
So what is another question you get asked a lot?
I have a lot of people ask me, how do they sign up for Medicare? And Medicare is a multi-part beast. There's a lot of letters flying out there. People are like, I don't know if I'm supposed to have the Part A or the Plan B or the Part G and so on. And it's very confusing. And my goal really isn't to educate in this on how to distinguish between them. Part A and B comes from the government. That's your foundation, if you will, for your coverage. Part A covers 80% of your hospital bills. Part B covers 80% of your medical bills. And then you're responsible for the other 20% of whatever happens. If you have a $10,000 claim and that's all you've got, then you're paying 20% of that. If you have a $100,000 claim, you're paying 20% of that, and so on. And they don't cover medications as well. So Part A and B comes from the government. You have to sign up for that through them, and you do that through Social Security, or you can call Medicare to do so. And then what I do is I help people build on top of that so that they don't pay 20% for whatever happens to them, so that they have cost sharing on their drugs and so forth.
Okay, yeah. Now, for my clinic, I am signed up to accept Medicare B, which is what outpatient physical therapy services are covered under. So I do take the Medicare B, and most of my clients have additional coverage to cover that 20%. So the nice thing is, under the traditional plan, they usually don't owe anything themselves out of pocket for the physical therapy visits. I'm sure there's exceptions, and we could get into all kinds of things like that, but that's not the purpose of this.
Sure.
But yeah, that is something that impacts how I can help people, is that Medicare B. Let's see here. We'll talk about that in a minute. Any other question that you either hear a lot, you think people should know about?
Yeah. Probably the next question I get asked most on Medicare is, what's the difference between a Medicare supplement plan or Medicare Advantage plan or Medicare Plan C? And
yes, I'm wanting to know the difference too. So please enlighten us on that, because it is very confusing.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. Most of my meetings with people who are new to Medicare, I'll take about 15-20 minutes. It brings a lot of clarity compared to the massive amounts of mail that they receive, because all those mailings typically contain one true fact in it, but it's positioned in such a way as to try to move you to buy their product, whether or not that fact is being accurately framed.
And I'm seeing a lot of TV ads now about that, about this plan, that plan.
Right.
It's like, how do you decide?
Yeah. So rather than trying to explain to everybody all the differences between the different kinds of supplement plans and the different kind of advantage plans, I just try to explain the core difference between the two.
Okay.
Usually somebody's going to know after that explanation which one they want to go with. And then we go into more specifically looking at, okay, if you want to go in this area, which of these plans is going to be a better fit? So backtracking.
Okay.
I remember we're starting off with the same foundation for either way, whether it's a supplement plan or an advantage plan. You got your Part A and B from the government covering 80% of your doctor and hospital bills and nothing else. The supplement plan, the most popular one for like the last 20 years, is called Plan F. That's really important. What's important is what it does. People who have Plan F have all of their hospital and medical bills covered, because Plan F took on the full 20%. So you go in to get a preventative visit done, fully covered. You go in to get 3 surgeries, still 100% covered. And so people pick up that supplement plan and they pick up a drug plan, and they have copays on their drugs, but all their medical bills are fully covered. And
so they don't have any copays on medical visits, or say they have to go to rehab or therapy. There's no copay.
Nothing
for that. Okay.
Yeah, so it's very much the Cadillac of Medicare coverage is the supplement plan. And you can dial down your benefits a little bit so that you do have like a small deductible. And by small, I mean $185. Most of us are, familiar with $5,000 deductibles. So it's still very good. The other key component of a supplement plan, besides pretty much everything being covered with a couple exceptions, is that it'll cover anything done at any provider who accepts Medicare, like you.
Yes.
Or if somebody was in New York and they need to go see a doctor, they can. If the doctor takes Medicare, they can go there.
Yes.
If they have cancer and they want to go be seen at the Mayo Clinic, if the Mayo Clinic takes Medicare, they can go
That's
there.
a huge advantage.
So the majority of people that I work with who take supplement plans primarily do it because of that large network.
Okay.
There's no confusion about it for them.
Right. Good.
So that's the supplement plans.
Okay.
The Advantage plans are a different animal.
Yes.
They're less expensive than the supplement plans, which
Okay.
is a big draw for people. They also use smaller doctor networks. Usually it's going to be local, and Advantage plans are getting better and better travel networks. But again, you don't have the option of any doctor that you want to go see. You have to make sure they're within your plan's network. Advantage plans also have copays. You have an out-of-pocket maximum. So you do take on more risk, but you're paying a lot less money. Most of the plans have a zero premium, and that's in addition to what you're paying for your parts A and B. So that's kind of the nutshell difference between the two.
Okay, well that's good to know, because my question was, what is the advantage in Medicare Advantage? And I know for me, a lot of the people who come to see me who have Medicare Advantage, all of a sudden are having to pay either pretty high co-pays or something called co-insurance, which they have not had before.
Right.
So the question I want to pose, maybe you could shed some light on it. If someone has a Medicare Advantage, are they covered under Medicare? Who is paying the bill?
Okay.
On that?
That's a multi-part question.
Okay.
So if someone's covered under Medicare Advantage, first off, the first thing to determine how they're going to be paying is whether or not the provider they're seeing is in network. Because when you pick up a Medicare Advantage plan, it replaces your Parts A and B, and takes that on. It's all encompassing. You still pay your Part B premium to the government, but your Medicare Advantage plan, you are limited to those providers except in case of an emergency. That's always the exception. Emergency is always treated as a network no matter where you are. So that in play, make sure that somebody is in network with your Medicare Advantage plan. Then most Medicare Advantage plans are going to have a copay for seeing a doctor. Copays, if you want to get real about it, is basically your fee to introduce yourself to the doctor and say, "Hi, my name is Nate, and I have a problem with X." And then with the care that the doctor provides, maybe charge under something else.
Okay.
So breaking away, I'm not on Medicare, but last March I got strep throat, and I went into the urgent care. And I said, "Hello, doctor. My name's Nate. I have a sore throat, and I'm pretty sure it's strep." I had to pay them $50 to tell the doctor that, and then the doctor did the little strep test, and so I had to pay another $30 for that lab. That wasn't a copay. That at that point I was paying toward my deductible for the service that the doctor did. So there's introduction fee, which is the copay, and then there's the service fee, which is your paying toward your deductible.
Okay. Now with the Medicare Advantage plans, is there a deductible that they have to pay as well?
It depends on the plan that you get. The great majority of them don't have deductibles, but some of them do. So if you have a deductible and you hit it, like let's say you have a $1,000 deductible, which is pretty common for the Advantage plans that do have them, and you're in a car wreck and your total bill is $5,000, you pay that first $1,000, and then after that you switch to co-insurance, which is you're paying a percentage. So if it's an 80-20 plan, then the remaining $4,000 of the plan, you're paying 20%, and the insurance company is picking up the other 80. This the kind of the framework for that.
That answered my question. You see the term co-insurance,
right,
and how that's different from copay.
Right.
So co-insurance is basically a percentage of the total bill that you would be paying.
Correct.
Would be your responsibility.
Yeah, a copay is a flat fee, and a co-insurance is a flat percentage of whatever the charge is.
Okay. Well, I think that helped me clear that up a little bit. I hope it helped people in the audience understand a little bit better some of the main differences between the two. Who would be a good candidate for, say, a Medicare Advantage plan versus the traditional Medicare?
Sure. Excuse me. Anybody who's got who's healthy or doesn't travel a lot, Advantage plan can be a good fit for them because they're not going in, and Advantage plans take more risk, but then you're also saving quite a bit of money on premiums.
Okay.
And so, especially if you have good financial discipline, then taking part of those savings, your premium savings per month, and putting those away in case something does happen is a good strategy. And another thing to keep in mind with an Advantage plan is that because they change every year, sometimes doctors will participate with, say, Blue Cross or Humana, the next year they may not.
Okay.
So there's because this annual enrollment period that we talked about at the very beginning
Yes.
happens every year, that's a person's opportunity to change from one carrier to another. And so there's an investment of time every year as well.
Okay.
And if people are willing to do that, and I help them with it,
Right.
then Advantage plan can be an excellent fit.
Okay. So it sounds like it's a wise thing to check it every year.
Yeah,
Check it
if you have an
every year and see
Advantage
if there's
plan
any changes.
or a Medicare drug plan, you ought to check it every single year just
Okay.
to be safe.
Great. I am glad there's people like you helping folks do this because it sounds like a very daunting thing to try on your own.
Yeah,
It would take a lot of time to try to figure it out.
yeah. There's a lot of confusing information out there, and it just leads you in circles because everybody's trying to sell you, and transparency isn't in their best interest.
And why I like working with Nate here is his goal is not to sell you things. He wants to educate you. He wants to really inform you and help you find a plan that's good for you, not something that makes the best commission. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. So can you share a few success stories that you've had helping people kind of wade the big murky world of Medicare?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So I had a gentleman call me probably about 3 years ago, and he had a Medicare Advantage plan, but he also had a critical condition, something that wasn't going to be, you can't get healed from this thing, at least not yet. And because as a result of this, he was having to hit his out-of-pocket maximum every single year for all the medical care he was receiving, which was $6,000 or something like that. And so was he paying, did he have a plan with a zero premium? Yeah, he did, but he was hitting that $6,000 out-of-pocket maximum. And so it was really unfortunate that he hadn't talked to me when he first became eligible for Medicare, because for him, it would have been better to get on one of those supplement plans and have that, and have practically all his bills being paid. And would he have had a higher premium? Yeah, but at the end of the year, he would have come out ahead on money. And so now, how does that sound like a success story? Well, I wasn't able to help him right then, but now there's a type of Medicare Advantage plan out there for people who have critical illnesses, and it's a short list. You can't just decide that your illness is critical and apply for it. But that was a big lifesaver for him, and he started being able to keep money in his pocket and improve his care as a result. So that was one. This other story is from about 3 months ago. This was from a wealthier couple, and the husband was about, 5 years older than his wife. And so he was turning 65 in November, so is turning 65 in November. And they were trying to determine whether or not he should go on Medicare, or if he should stay on his wife's plan. And so for them, it was simply a numbers game, and looking at the benefits of his coverage versus what her company had to offer. And so they're crushing that, trying to narrow down what kind of plan they wanted. And so I was able to bring clarity to that, and they were really thrilled with finding out that they could save about $400 a month on the premiums and turn a $4,000 deductible into a $185 deductible.
So, that is a big difference.
It is.
Yeah.
So that was a good one. Let's see, what's my last one? This isn't just I could give a dozen examples of this because it's what I do on a regular basis. But as I sit down with people and talk with them about what they're looking for, time and time again, I'm asking questions to try to narrow down what's most important to them. And usually it's their doctor, that having their doctor network is the most important. And so rather than trying to master all the Advantage plans, I just take that and say, oh, your doctor is most important. well, let me filter out all the plans that don't have that doctor in it, and you don't have to learn about those plans. I'll just find that out. Okay, these are the remaining plans. Now, what medications do you take? And I find that out. And then I find which plan is going to cover their medication the best. Normally, at that point, you've got 2 or 3 options left, and you're not spending all your time learning a dozen or 2 dozen different plans, trying to figure out which one's the best fit for you. I can quickly filter everything out that's not actually going to be helpful, and then you can identify the plan that's going to be the best value.
Okay.
And so I just do that on a regular basis, and it's really rewarding, and people feel good about the coverage that they're getting.
Yeah. Okay. Well, great. That is great. So if someone's not happy with their current plan, what should they do, and how can they get in contact with you?
Well, if they're not happy with their current plan, I'm happy to help them, or they can talk to any independent agent. I recommend independent agents, and the reason why, a captive agent, if you just call Humana, Blue Cross, United Healthcare, they will be happy to help you find the best thing that they offer, and that's their job. But if somebody else is offering something better, well, obviously they're A, probably not going to know about it, and B, they're not supposed to talk about it. So independent agents are the way to go, because we can help filter through everyone and find the best thing for you. If you have an Advantage plan, annual enrollment's coming up October 15th through December 7th, and I can help you evaluate, set your priorities, and then filter out those plans in that process I was just talking about, and find the best fit and get you switched over. If you have a Medicare supplement plan and you're wanting to switch, you are allowed to try to switch at any time, but if you try to switch to a different supplement plan, often you're going to face underwriting. And if you're healthy, then you're good, because they'll look and say, oh, we're not taking on any risk, we'll have you over. And I've helped people do that. If not, or if your supplement plan just keeps increasing in price to the point where it's not doable anymore, then I'll help you find an Advantage plan that you can switch to and get you set up there.
Great. Okay. Any particular advice for someone who's enrolling in Medicare for the very first time?
Yeah. Whatever month your 65th birthday is, unless your birthday is on the first day of the month, that's going to be when your Medicare starts. 3 months before that, you need to get signed up for your Part A and your Part B. That's the foundation for for your coverage. And until you get that done, you cannot get everything else. You can't get a supplement, or you can't get an Advantage. And it's been a number of times where I've had people show up at my office. Actually, last week was one of them. Their birthday is later on this month in October. Their coverage is going to start October 1st. And they walked in to my office 3 days before October and said, Nate, I need to get all my Medicare stuff. And they didn't have their Parts A and B. And until they have that foundation, I can't help them build on it. So whether it's you're about to turn 65 or you've identified the month that you're going to retire and you want your Medicare coverage to start, 3 months before that date comes, call Social Security, have a movie ready, because it's usually about an hour hold, have a book, and then talk to them and get signed up for that. That's the biggest thing to do first. And then after that, come see me, because whatever you and I decide to build on that foundation, we have to have that first.
Okay, great. Well, this has been really helpful. I hope you who are listening have found this helpful as well. Take homes for me would be: 1, plan ahead, 3 months ahead before you really, really need it. Talk to an independent agent. Don't just listen to the commercials.
No. Mute them.
There's a lot of them out there right now.
Mute them. They're not allowed to lie, but they are allowed to decide what truth that they put out there. So don't bother putting up with manipulation. It'll affect you even subconsciously.
And ask about options. There's a lot more options out there than I thought there were. So, the other take home is, how big a network do you want? And do you travel a lot? I didn't know that some of the Advantage plans were really, really local to more narrow areas. So
that's correct.
That's great. Okay, well, thank you.
It's my pleasure.
This has been Nate Tate helping us navigate the Medicare world. And how can they get a hold of you?
Oh, yes. You asked me that earlier, and I did not answer it.
Phone number and email. I don't have that right with me, but
well, I can give that. I can give that now.
Yeah.
I'm giving 2 phone numbers. My office number is 913-353-1351, or you can call or text my business cell number, which is 913-633-4609. My email address is nate.tate, Tate is spelled Tate, at, and it's 7 letters, R as in Robert, P as in Paul, S as in Sam, B as in boy, B as in boy, D as in David, I as in India, .com. So nate.tate at rpsbbdi.com. And that's my company, and I work for Benefits by Design. We're an agency, and we're all independent, and we work together as a team to help people like you to get your insurance figured out.
All right. Well, very good. Thank you so much for being my special guest.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Thank you all for listening. This concludes episode number 4 of the podcast Down There. And we all hope you have a great day.
Have a good one.
Until next time. Bye.
It's the weekend.
Yay. Thank you so much for listening to the show. Go ahead and drop in a comment. Let us know how you liked this last episode. I'd love to hear from you. Do you have any questions? Or do you want to learn more about us? Perhaps you're ready to take the next step? Check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Laura McKeag PT, or visit our website at www.lauramckeagpt.com to learn even more.